Good morning. We're out here in our backyard. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. No, 7 o'clock. About 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to reconstitute this core block so that we can create our own potting soil. So, I've never done this before. I wanted to document the process. Here's our cocoa core block.
Here's our water.
I'm going to add the water. There you go. Okay. Add a little bit of water, and then we're probably going to want to use a hand rake to help break it up.
It's not expanding.
No, it's not expanding yet. You get it wet, let it sit in the water, and it should take no more than about 5 minutes to expand to its original size. I got this core block from a woman, an Indian woman, whose family harvests coconuts on their farm back in India. She offered me a good price. Can you please put the camera on me? She offered me a good price, and so I bought several of these, and I figure I would test them out for my potting soil this season and see how they do. What's today's date? April 25th. April. Silas, can you keep it on me?
Yeah.
Today's date is April 25th. We typically do not plant anything outside until after Memorial Day or Mother's Day. Don't climb on that. You're gonna be sorry. Look at this. Look at this. Is it getting bigger? All right.
No, not
I
really.
think I'm gonna run and turn off the water. I don't know how much water to add exactly.
No. Mama, me.
Okay, let's pause.
Mommy.
That just stops recording. Or it unpaused.
I unpaused it. Here, you want to use the hand rake? Start breaking the block apart. That's it. That's what I want to see. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Silas, I have another hand rake in the she shed if you want to go grab it. Where would it be? Silas, it's in the large cast iron pan. All done? Mommy's turn? So this is the base. This is the structure of the soil. Our soil is pretty, we have a lot of silt. We have a lot of dust in our soil. So I'm adding a little more body. You're cold? Let's go put your jacket on. Come on. I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of my watering cans. These are about 1 gallon apiece. That way I can give you more accurate amounts of coconut core to water ratios. So, yeah, as I was saying before, the ground that I have here in my yard is very silty, and our climate is very dry. And the combination of those two things, the air or the dry climate dries out that silty soil and it turns to dust. There's probably a word or a phrase for that. It's like potato dust. Anyways, we're going to add some body to that soil, to that ground, by incorporating some coconut coir. It's absorbent. The fibers in it soak up water really well, and it should help provide a little bit more volume, or give my silty soil a little more structure to hold in those nutrients and minerals long enough, not only to hold those nutrients and minerals, but also to give the root systems of the plants something to get comfortable, something to stretch out in, give them a little more stability, a comfortable place to make their home. You want to make those roots as comfortable as possible. And that means providing the right structure. The right structure being the difference between a stick-built home with no insulation and an earth dwelling that was built with all of the elements in mind. Stick-built versus earth dwelling. Just trying to make a very welcoming place for these roots where they want to stretch out and stay a while. If those roots aren't happy, you're going to stunt the growth of your plant. Your yields are going to be compromised or dwarfed. Okay, she can stay in there with you. Wow, this cocoa coir goes a long way. It really spreads out to be quite a few cubic yards. I'm gonna look into that and see what the details are on that. I think it's 2.5 cubic yards. But I'll have to go back to those details and figure that out for sure. Alright, so I have my second gallon of water. I'm gonna pour it over the top of my cocoa coir. Rehydrating that block. All right, filling in all of those gaps. Bringing together that perfect harmony between material and hydration. Just doing it. That's the best way to garden. Just do it. Don't doubt yourself. You're never gonna get all of it right. But you're bound to get something right. You can't mess it all up. You know, just try one or two things. Figure out what doesn't work. And in the process, you'll find something that does. And that's experience to grow off of. So That's all we're doing over here. We're growing. Growing plants, growing children, chickens. We're growing. We're growing as we move through life. Okay, so far I have about 3 gallons of water in there, maybe 4. So this would be the 4th or 5th gallon that I'm adding to this block, this soil block. Not a soil block, I'm sorry, coconut coir. This is the alternative to the peat moss, which is a very common ingredient that you'll find in potting mixes, but apparently a very unfriendly ecological option for gardening ingredients. Coconut is a renewable resource, and the peat moss is harvested from other sources that is not as renewable, is how it has been explained to me. I don't know if either one of them is more nutritionally dense, more vitamin rich, has a higher levels of minerals, or what. As far as I understand, this is just what provides the structure and body to your soil. We've been gardening for about 5 years, I want to say. So we've been continually adding nutrients to our ground, well, to our garden beds. We haven't developed we have not worked on developing the entire property just yet. We have 1 acre here, and I hope to utilize all the potential at some point. At this point, we've got a couple raised garden beds that my husband built for me. So we're going to go ahead and use that. That's what we have. And I'll bet you we're going to grow something, and our family's going to be better for it. We'll be better medically. We'll be better intellectually. And then we'll be able to bring you better content for next year. But this year, we're just rehydrating coconut coir. There we go. So this is how the coconut coir looks now. That looks like a nice loamy soil, right? A soil that holds its structure. When I squeeze it, all that water comes out of the beautiful fibers of the coconut. Now all we have to add is some additional amendments. I'm going to add a little bit of perlite for water retention, and I'm going to add some probably probably some pre-mixed potting soil that I got from the garden store. And those together, I think they should make a nice nutritious bed for my seedlings. I may want to turn that water back on and add another gallon. That'll bring us up to about 6 gallons of water here. I'm going to shut this camera off so that I can get in a little bit deeper. Here's a shot there of the coconut core, with the addition of some potting soil. I used Happy Frog potting soil. Contains mycorrhiza and humic acids. All I know is the mycorrhiza is some kind of something derived from mushrooms. Jumpstart your garden. Okay, yeah. Fertilizer into my base. And off we go, making our own potting soil. Alright, so we reconstituted the cocoa core block. I added some potting soil from a local supplier in town. I also added some of the native dirt off of my property so as to not shock the roots when I plant them into when I transplant them into my soil here on the property. I just now added a little bit of perlite rock. Perlite rock is a I don't even know how it's derived, how it's harvested, but I know that there's little cells inside of the block, and they further build out the structure of the soil. So you have the fibers of the coconut core that absorbs water and holds it, but again, it's only a fiber and the water has to wash through. These cells inside of these small granules of perlite they have tiny little cells. The cells are tiny, they're microscopic, and what they do is they hold the water in place so that we have a nice balance between drained soil and water retention. Again, I live in an arid climate. It's very dry. There's lots of wind. We're at a high elevation above 6,000 feet. So the sun, the heat of the sun is intense, and that evaporates the water from our soil very quickly. So that's going to be one of my biggest concerns, one of my biggest challenges during my garden season is to make sure that my soil doesn't dry out. I don't think there is any one amendment for the soil that could keep it from drying out. There's different techniques that I think I'm going to try this year. We definitely have sun shades because the sun's heat is so intense, but also we don't want to burn our plants, but we also need to keep that moisture from evaporating so quickly. So There's different techniques and methods to control the evaporation. And I will probably make another video when I get into that. Right now I just need to get some seeds in the ground because we've got rain in the forecast, and the best time to plant your seeds, if you're going to leave them outside, the best time to plant those seeds is before some kind of natural precipitation event, because that rainwater is probably one of the best additives you could give to your seedlings or to your garden. Fresh rainwater, unadulterated, non-chlorinated, and supercharged by all of the beautiful ions up there in the sky that at this point we have no way of collecting. I have no way of collecting. I don't know, maybe one of you knows how to collect the ions from the air, but I do not. Okay, so we're gonna check this soil structure, squeeze it, see if any water comes out. I've got a few drips. The soil holds its structure. It has a nice visual. It's visually appealing. I have a nice balance between dirt, soil, additional supplements like the perlite that I added. I'm gonna smell it. It doesn't smell like compost. It doesn't have that sweet, magical smell to it. But I'm not giving this to already established plants. I am using this to germinate my seedlings, and all those seedlings need is a nice, comfortable spot to lay down their roots. So we're going to provide the structure and the moisture. We don't need the sunlight just yet, but okay. Camera, stop recording. Stop recording.